What if your anxiety is trying to tell you something? What if instead of being a problem to be fixed, it's a message, a signal, a gentle nudge from a part of you that's been ignored for too long? Your anxiety isn't your weakness, it's your alarm system. It's your body's way of saying, hey, something doesn't feel right, something needs your attention. It's like your home's alarm system. When the alarm goes off, do you punish your house? No, you investigate. You try to figure out what's happening. Why is the alarm going off? What can you do to address it? Why should you do that? Because you want to feel safe in your home. Same with your body. When it goes into alarm mode, it's trying to protect you, keep you safe, so why wouldn't you want to help it? Why? We've been taught that anxiety is the enemy, something broken, something to suppress, something to escape from, something to medicate, something to be ashamed of. But what if it's just misunderstood? What if there's a message in there? A message from the part of you that's been trying to get your attention for a long time. So let's imagine this part of you as a little kid, your little inner child. Okay, let's pretend that every time you felt unsafe, every time you cried out for help but no one came, every time you felt helpless and hopeless, that got stored somewhere deep inside you. And now that little part of you is watching out for you, keeping an eye out for any signs of danger. And when it sees something that reminds it of those old feelings, it freaks out. It goes into overdrive. It starts running around the house, banging pots and pans, making tons of noise, trying to get your attention. Now, are you going to yell at that little kid? Are you going to punish them for being scared? No, you're going to comfort them, soothe them, reassure them. You might ask, hey, what's going on? Why are you so scared? Because you care about that little kid, because you don't want them to be afraid. And if they're afraid, you want to help. And it's the same with your anxiety. Behind the racing heart and the spiraling thoughts, there's a part of you just trying to keep you safe. It remembers the pain, the times you were unheard, the moments you felt powerless. And now it whispers or screams, be careful, don't go through that again. But it's not because you're broken, it's because you're wired to survive. And that's a good thing. It's a protective mechanism. It's your body's way of saying, hold up, let's take a step back here. This doesn't feel right. Let's make sure we're safe before we move forward. But we've been taught to fight it, to ignore it, to pretend it's not there. And that just makes things worse. Imagine if your smoke alarm was going off in your house, and instead of checking to see if there's a fire, you started smashing the alarm. What would happen? Eventually you wouldn't trust it anymore. It's the same with your anxiety. When you try to beat it, it doesn't work. It just makes your anxiety worse. So what if you could listen to that part of you? What if you could hear what it's trying to say? Anxiety doesn't want to ruin your life. It wants you to pause and check in. It's like your best friend who's trying to give you some advice. Maybe it's trying to tell you that you're overwhelmed. Maybe it's trying to tell you that you've been saying yes when you meant no. Maybe it's trying to tell you that you're ignoring your boundaries, that you need rest, not more pressure. What if you actually listened to that inner voice? What if you took a moment to breathe, to slow down and pay attention to what it's saying? When you start doing that, something amazing happens. The voice gets softer, the anxiety lifts. You start to feel this sense of calm and clarity that you've never felt before. You start to realize that you're not broken. You're becoming whole. You're becoming more of who you really are. Now, I know this might sound like a new agey concept, but stick with me here. What if instead of fearing our anxiety, we saw it as a guide, a teacher, a messenger? What if we started treating it with curiosity instead of judgment? What if we started asking questions instead of running away? When you start listening without judgment, you start to notice patterns. You start to see triggers. You start to understand what sets off that alarm system in your body. Maybe it's certain people or places or even thoughts. Once you start paying attention, you can start to do something about it. You can start to change your life in small but powerful ways. Imagine if your anxiety was your secret weapon, not your weakness. Imagine if it gave you superpowers instead of holding you back. That's the power of reframing, of seeing things in a new light. It's not about denying that anxiety exists. It's about acknowledging it, accepting it, understanding it. Think about it. Anxiety is just energy. It's like water. If you try to fight it, if you try to push it away, it just comes back stronger. But if you make space for it, if you let it flow through you, it loses its power. It's the same with your emotions. If you try to stuff them down, they bubble up in unexpected ways. But if you feel them, if you let them be there, they dissipate and you feel lighter. So here's what I want you to do next time anxiety shows up. Don't shove it away. Don't try to fix it. Don't judge yourself for having it. Sit with it. Acknowledge it. Breathe into it. Ask it questions. What do you need? What are you trying to tell me? What's underneath this panic? When you do that, you start to break down the walls between you and that younger part of you. You start to build a bridge of understanding. And that's where healing begins. It's like when you're driving and your car starts beeping at you. You pull over and check the tire. You don't keep driving and pretend it's not there. Because if you do, the problem doesn't go away. It just gets worse. The same is true with your anxiety. When you stop trying to fight it and start listening to it, that's when you start to understand what's really going on. You're not broken. You're becoming whole. You're becoming more of who you really are. And it's not always easy to do this. Sometimes it takes a lot of courage. Sometimes you have to dig deep inside to find that little part of you that's been hurt. But when you do, when you finally connect with that younger self, you start to feel this overwhelming sense of love and compassion for yourself. And that changes everything. Because when you love yourself, when you accept yourself, when you forgive yourself, that's when you start to thrive. That's when you start to live a life that's true to who you are. You start to feel this sense of peace and contentment that you've never felt before. So the next time anxiety shows up, remember, it's not your enemy. It's your friend, it's your guide, it's your alarm system, and it's trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you safe. And all it really wants is for you to listen. All it really needs is for you to understand. And when you do, when you finally understand, that's when you start to heal.